Hello Bethanians, welcome to Bethany Virtual Cafe. On September 8th of this year, we celebrated the birthday of the Blessed Virgin Mary, or the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And coincidentally, it also marked the death of one of the most influential figures in the world, namely Queen Elizabeth II. And so we pray for her eternal repose. We extend our sympathies, most especially to the royal family. I am dedicating this episode to highlight the greatness that is Queen Elizabeth II, her example and her life lessons. When I was in the minor seminary, there are several areas of formation to ready us to become eventually a priest. But of all those aspects of formation, one of our rectors before has said that we can sum up all these aspects of formation into three major poles. What are those? Sano, Sabio, Santo. Sano meaning a healthy body. It includes, of course, our human formation, our community life, our life in the seminary that responds to the aspects of health and physical well-being. Sabio. This includes our academic formation in general, to have a sound mind as well as a sound heart. And finally, Santo, which is the aspect of formation that gears or aims at our spiritual life and formation, which means to say that we are being trained to develop a healthy relationship with God. And so I am saying these aspects of formation because in the life of Queen Elizabeth II, we also find life lessons that could help us, could inspire us, and heal us in the process. So Bethanians, brace yourselves as we hear the different healing lessons from Queen Elizabeth II herself. In a book by Brian Kozlowski entitled Long Live the Queen, he has highlighted in 6 sections different life lessons that was shared to him by Queen Elizabeth herself. And so for our purpose to learn and to consider this as a story that could heal us, I'd like to encapsulate the 6 sections into 3 major sections to parallel it to the 3 main aspects of formation that could make us a holistic individual. May we learn from Queen Elizabeth II herself on how she lived her life as a monarch and queen, and how her life could be an inspiration for all of us. So first section, Sano. The author points out as an outline to eat and work like a queen. So the first section, titled Eat Like a Queen, one would think that being the queen, she and her family would eat lavish meals 3 times a day. This couldn't be further from the truth, because if Queen Elizabeth had eaten the Queen's food, she may not have enjoyed such a healthy and long life. Instead, her meals are fuel to her. In other words, Queen Elizabeth would consider quality over quantity. So while she was a teenager, the author says, her father, the king, insisted that the family live as close as possible to other Brits going through the war. The family never went hungry, but this way of eating left a mark. So a simple dinner of meat, gravy, and potatoes is just fine for the queen. As she dines, she eats slowly, pausing between bites and stops eating when full. I remember my bishop once in Calibo, in the Philippines. He made mention about one of the secrets of long life is to be able to chew your food slowly, to savor it, so much so that you're able to eat and digest the food properly. So part of her daily routine is tea time at 5 p.m. She makes sure her schedule allows her to be back home for this precious time in which she can treat herself, gather her thoughts, and relax in the comfort of familiar surroundings. And even though a lovely pastry cart is delivered to her at tea time, she still exercises the same self-control that she does at dinner time. A few small treats savored and her favorite cup of tea are just enough to recharge her batteries. So the rule of thumb, of course, is moderation. Work like a queen. Part of her Christmas broadcast to the nation in 1953 was a lifelong vow to give herself heart and soul to her duties every day of her life. So she has lived this vow. Because of her appreciation for an ordered life, her routine has remained the same throughout the decades. Waking up to a cup of Earl Grey tea at 7:30 a.m., bath, reading several newspapers over breakfast, attending meetings, and going through her red box, which is the daily updated government documents in need of reading and signing, or a briefing prior to a meeting. Visits outside the palace, tea time, more reading, dinner, and in bed by 11 p.m. A very full day for someone who has been doing this for 70 years. In fact, Helen Mirren, the actress that portrayed her in the 2006 film The Queen, says about the Queen in this way, and I quote, "To be that consistent for that long is amazingly comforting. It shows such reliability. She has never lurched in one direction or another." So consistency is key. So in order for us to work like her, we have to have a schedule. But as we have a schedule, we have to follow it consistently. We do not just do it for a day, we do it like a virtue. So it is comforting to know that Queen Elizabeth herself would work her heart out to do her duties. But in doing so, she does it with love as well as with consistency. Another section under Sano is to play like a queen. The queen plays? This is the question posed by the author. Well, her former private secretary, Tommy Lascelles, said, "Elizabeth has a healthy sense of fun. Her play has been her natural outlet for wider passions. Oh, how she loves her horses and her corgis. Her means of exercise, her mental rejuvenation, and her physical rest. Play helps fire the imagination, encourages optimal mental health, sharpens the wits, and is healing." So see, if you have a healthy body, you're able to do things consistently. It could help you in the process of growth and in the process of healing. The Queen, even in her advancing years, seems to have an incredible amount of energy. Walking has always been a part of her afternoon routine. When she is at Buckingham Palace, she will go for a long walk through the garden with her corgis. A walk in nature is like a mini vacation for the brain. Taking deep breaths of fresh air into the lungs is relaxing and good for the body. She finds being able to escape with family to her country home, Balmoral Castle, to be healing and restorative, and helps to give her fresh eyes for the seriousness of her job. It is a time to practice quiet, circumspection, seclusion, and calming rituals, all in the privacy of a few close family members. And that is really very important. In fact, at times, we are uncomfortable with being in solitude. We are uncomfortable in silence. What's wrong with silence? What's wrong with solitude? Silence and solitude give us perspective. Silence and solitude help us commune not only with nature, but also with our Creator, with God, who has given us that sound mind and gifts to be able to address and live life to its fullest. To be able to know and get a better and the right perspective, we have to spend some time in quiet, in silence, in solitude. And that is so true with Queen Elizabeth. Now, Sabio. In 2 sections of the book, Long Live the Queen, the author highlighted this: think and love like a queen. Biographer Andrew Marr says of the Queen, she has uttered not a single shocking phrase in public. There are no reliable recorded incidents of the Queen losing her temper, using bad language, or refusing to carry out a duty expected of her. In other words, she has a mind of a diplomat, a clear manifestation of what's in her heart. They say that the mouth is the window of our heart, as the eye is the window of the soul. So whatever comes from our mouth is actually coming also from our heart. So with Queen Elizabeth II, it would seem, or it would tell us as a fact, that she finds value in every word that she utters. She finds significance in the words that comes from her mouth. So where does this composure, courage, calm, and collected frame of mind come from? Well, it is a learned ability that has taken years to develop. To get calm in the face of problems, rather than allow herself to get her adrenaline up and to panic, says friend Monty Roberts. So she is very good at keeping her emotions in check, so there is less drama and more strength and stability for the monarchy. So she does away with drama in order that she could even become a better leader for her people. So it's not always about herself. It's always about the people that she serves. So she has remained resolute through very serious trials that have affected her and her family. The deaths of her mother, sister, and beloved husband, Prince Philip, the divorce of Charles and Diana, Diana's untimely death, to name just a few. Through this all, she has kept calm and carried on. Queen Elizabeth is quoted as saying, "Perhaps we make too much of what is wrong and too little of what is right. Gloom feeds upon itself, and depression causes more depression." So why are most people depressed nowadays? Why are people struggling with emotional problems? Well, maybe because we feed it with too much negativity that it gives birth to what it actually deserves. One of the ways she diffuses stressful or awkward situations is to try to see the humor in them. Prince Philip apparently had a wonderful way of keeping his wife's spirits up with his sense of humor. In fact, if you can see in one of the humorous or one of the light moments with Queen Elizabeth and her husband, is a time when her husband pretended to be one of the royal guards, in which, of course, Queen Elizabeth was able to find out herself. And so she's also one who prefers asking questions in a conversation rather than talking about herself. This has left many of our audiences feeling refreshed and their esteem for her greatly increased. So posing questions in a conversation allows one to engage in a dialogue. And for Queen Elizabeth, she finds importance in knowing the other person from her questions. And in that way, the conversation does not necessarily focus on her, but on the other person whom she gives importance to. Love. How does Queen Elizabeth show her love? And I'd like to quote these wonderful words from the author. It is through her tireless acts of service to her people. She learned this in part from her mother, who said, "The point of human life and living is to give and to create new goodness all the time." To create new goodness all the time. In philosophy, we say that the object of the will is love. And of course, with love begets goodness. And so just like Queen Elizabeth, her life is wrapped in this beautiful goal and object of love. Her life is always in service for her people. That's why they call her a true servant leader. The Queen is a realist and recognizes that not everyone will like her. She knows that she cannot please everyone and does not attempt it. What she does is continue to follow her personal purpose statement. And what is that? "I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong." There is still one more aspect of formation that I'd like to highlight, but I'd like to highlight this through the image and symbol for this week. And that formation or aspect of formation is Santo. One of her life lessons that stands out is the fact that she understands her relationship with God and the role He has given her. Engraved on the 1-pound coin, which is our symbol this week, are the letters D, G, REG, which stands for Dea Gratia Regina, by the grace of God. An acknowledgement that the monarch's power and position doesn't derive from the government or the consent of the people, but directly from God, the ultimate sovereign. She understood in the anointing during her coronation that the spiritual blessing conferred by the archbishop made her queen, and not just the act of putting a crown. She understands and takes great comfort in knowing that someone else is ultimately in charge, and that is God. We have to gear all our endeavors for the greater glory of God, because at the end of the day, it is God who has given us this life. At the end of the day, it is God who has guided us through life. And it is something that Queen Elizabeth II has acknowledged all throughout her life, that without God, she wouldn't be the longest reigning monarch that ever lived. All her life, her work, her loving, her playing is always in accordance to the will of God. It would be wonderful for us this week to reflect on the life of Queen Elizabeth II, that as she rests in God's peace, we too may be able to take nuggets of lessons from her life to accomplish and be guided by her life story, her life lessons as guideposts to base our life upon. Queen Elizabeth has never stopped learning. She keeps on bending and stretching and extending her mind to accommodate new ideas and new ways of thinking without compromising her values. She works at staying fresh mentally, spiritually, and physically. Sano, Sabio, Santo. May we too, out of her example, become a holistic individual, guided and closely knit with our relationship with God. God bless us all.